Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Juseyo. My name is Sam and this is a Tuesday video. So recently I have been watching a show called The Good Doctor, which a long while back Morgan had mentioned to me that the United States was going to be making an adaptation of a Korean drama, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, what's it called? And she had told me it was called The Good Doctor. And personally, for some reason, I can't get into Korean medical dramas. There's just something about them. I work in the medical field as it is, but there's just something about them that, like, I can't get into them. I can't get into the drama. But when it comes to American medical dramas, so like House, I loved House. I really like them. I enjoy them. I don't know, maybe it's just like the cinematography or the acting. I really don't know what the difference is between the American medical dramas and Korean medical dramas, but I really like the American ones, and I haven't found a Korean one that I've been too excited about. But I started watching The Good Doctor, and I really enjoyed it. And so what I do, something weird where it's like if I get really into something, I usually like do a lot of research into it. And I had started watching interviews about this show, and for those of you who don't know what the show is about, whether it's the K-drama or the American show, it's about a doctor who has autism. In the Korean drama they call it savant syndrome, in that they say it's a savant syndrome that one of like the side effects, or one of like the attributes of someone who has savant syndrome is someone who has autism, where in the American show they kind of more focus on the fact that he has autism, and that savant syndrome is kind of like an after effect or kind of a side effect of the autism. But either way, they're both doctors who have autism of some level on the spectrum, and they are becoming surgeons. The K-drama, he's working in pediatrics, and it looks like in the American, he's just becoming a general surgeon. They're both in their residencies. And it's the people accepting them for who they are and all of that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed the American one. I went and watched the Korean one. But anyway, off my tangent. So I'm watching the interviews, and I'm going into the comments, and I'm seeing tons and tons and tons of people going, this is just, it's a remake of the K-drama, it's a remake of the K-drama, it's a remake of the K-drama. Well, yes, it's an adaptation. That's what this is. It's an adaptation of the K-drama. But people are getting very, very upset because they're not mentioning that it's an adaptation of the K-drama. But if you look back at Criminal Minds, and I haven't found anything yet, but granted my Korean is very elementary level, they didn't really mention that Criminal Minds, the K-drama, is a remake of the American show. There are a lot of remakes and adaptations of shows from one country over another, and they don't always mention each other, or they take the idea and they run with it. But here's my take on when a country takes a show from another country and creates it or produces it into a show that's going to be shown on it. This is a business. It really is. And when it comes down to it, all television is a business. What is going to do well? And the way I look at it is that if a show is doing well in one country, and they've gone through the pilots and they've gone through whatever they go through to figure out if a show is going to do well, and they figure out it's going to do well in our market too, or their market too, like, they're going to go with it. And I don't think that there has to be any need or want to tell us that it's a remake or an adaptation from another country's show. I really don't see the reason behind it. I mean, unless you've already watched it or you plan on going to watch it, I mean, you're probably going to end up just watching the show in your country. So there's no reason for the information of it's a remake or an adaptation, or like someone took the idea. And a lot of times what we're going to see is, especially if this show does really, really well in the United States, is that eventually it's going to fall off its storyline. If you don't know anything about American TV shows, if you're a Korean watching this, we have seasons after seasons after seasons. If a show keeps doing well, it keeps on going. And so you could get 2, 3, 4 seasons out of this. So when we finally get to the 20th episode, because the K-drama is 20 episodes long, eventually the story's gonna have to keep going. What I really like is that they haven't taken, at least with the American one, is that they are allowing him to be kind of a general surgeon, and so it's going to be a lot of people that he works with versus children. I've only watched the first episode of the Korean drama one, and yes, the two episodes are very identical to each other. There's some differences, but a lot of similarities to the two of them, and I think they both have their own merits. If I had to choose for the main actor who I like better, I think I prefer the American one. He kind of stands taller, he's more sure of himself, and although he has autism, he knows he's smart and he knows what he could do and he knows he has the ability to do it. Where I think with the K-drama, the way the actor is playing him, I don't know if this is writing or what they've directed him to do, but with him being very hunched over and slouchy and not very sure of himself, it kind of worries me that like he wants to be a surgeon. When I think of a surgeon, I think of someone who has to be sure of themselves because they're taking people's lives into their own hands. So if I have to talk about the main actors, I really prefer the American drama. I also liked a little bit more of how they fleshed out the relationship between the brothers in the first episode of the American one versus the K-drama. For both of them, I think they did really well on the backstories of their family life and kind of how they both decided to become a doctor. But I think I might be a little biased, but I'm definitely going more toward the American side, which I know is unpopular opinion. Please don't hate me. But I really feel like when it comes to adaptations that we need to accept them as this is TV, this is a business, and that people who get upset over the fact that there really wasn't a lot of mention of the South Korean drama being the original and it being a remake or an adaptation coming into the American market. I don't think there's a reason for us to be talking about that, honestly, unless you're like this. And I know Morgan's going to be talking more about this, and so I'm not trying to get too far into it and too opinionated about it. I just kind of wanted to make this to be like, look, it's a different market, and honestly, when it comes to K-dramas, it's a big thing. It's popular, but it's not so popular, especially with people over the age of 30. It's not a popular thing. It's not something people know. A lot of people don't even know like what a K-drama is. They don't really think of Korea having TV shows or like it being a whole different market from ours. And so it really doesn't do them any good to be like, hey, this is a remake, this is an adaptation. I think it's just trying to get the show to sit on its own merits and to try and do well in our market. And that's all kind of what I have to say. I know it's kind of an unpopular opinion and I'm kind of being argumentative toward it, but I really think that the people who got really upset in a lot of the comments saying, why is there no mention of it? I don't think there was a reason to have a mention of it. They're promoting the show as an American show, and so to talk about it as a remake or adaptation of a K-drama really does it no good, honestly. It doesn't give it any more, it doesn't promote the show any more than it would if we just talked about it as what it is, the story of what it is. And I think it's going to be a very interesting story. I think it's a great social commentary, and I look forward to watching it as an American show, and I might actually continue on it as a Korean drama too. And that's that. I mean, what is your opinion about countries taking shows and turning them into adaptations? What is your opinion about whether or not they mention that it's an adaptation or an idea from a different country or a show that's already been created and they put it into a different market? So yeah, so tell me your opinions down below, and I will see you soon. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please feel free to give it a like. If you would like, you can subscribe to our channel, and if you want to check out our last week's discussion video, click somewhere on the screen because it'll be somewhere up here, and we will see you guys next time. Okay, bye. Not really bye, but bye.